People ask me quite often if I had a near-death experience after my motorcycle accident, so I thought I would take a little time and sit down today and talk to you about that. If you're new here, my name's Christy. Back in 2021, I had a near-fatal motorcycle accident where I was internally decapitated, and then 2 weeks after that, I had an unexpected, never before seen complication from that injury, which was that I had a late onset of hydrocephalus that caused my brain to herniate while I was still in neuro ICU. If you want more information on all of that, there's a playlist called My Accident on my page with a lot more detailed information on like actual injuries and hospital stuff and all of that. But for the sake of this video, we're going to be talking about death. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, I've now had 2 near-death experiences, things that I absolutely should not have survived. So I've got a little bit of insider info on what that's like. As far as the accident itself, there was a long sharp curve that went to the left and there was a guardrail on the right, and although I had rode motorcycles for several years, was fairly experienced, I didn't make that curve. I don't know why. I wasn't going fast. That's neither here nor there for this video, but I would say realistically there was like 1 second that I had enough awareness to know that I was about to hit the guardrail, and all I had time to think was, this is gonna hurt. And then it was a light switch. My dad was with me that day. He was in front of me. He didn't see the wreck happen, but he saw my motorcycle kind of come around the curve, and he saw my headlight wobble and fall over. So that's when he knew that something had happened. So he turned around and I was hanging on the guardrail, not breathing. And you know, unbeknownst to anybody, my injury was an AOD, or internal decapitation, which is where all the ligaments that hold your head to your spine are severed. So it's basically like a live bobblehead. But the next memories I have after that are just fractions of time. I remember looking up and seeing the sky where I was laying on the road. I remember some of the sounds. I remember things about the helicopter ride. I remember just teeny tiny little pieces from the ER, and then my next real memories are waking up in neuro ICU. So as far as the topic of this video, near-death experiences, I did not have any kind of, like, there was no light, there was nothing. It's like when you go in to have surgery and they give you anesthesia and you're just out. You're out, you're not aware that you're out, you're just out. And that's very much what it was like with the initial impact. I was enjoying my motorcycle ride, knew that I was about to hit the guardrail. I thought, this is gonna hurt, and then my lights were out. I didn't feel anything and I wasn't aware of the impact whatsoever. Fast forward a couple of weeks while I was still in neuro ICU, unbeknownst to anybody, because they were not even aware that this could be a complication. It's not documented in any medical literature, but the stretching of my spinal cord was so severe that it occluded the CSF, the fluid in your brain that has to be able to like drain. Mine couldn't drain anymore because my brain was actually in a different like position, and so over time that fluid had nowhere to go, so it just started building up in my brain until there was no room left, and then my brain herniated, which means the swelling, when it has nowhere else to go, there's a hole at the base of your skull and your brain will swell that way. And when that happens, it's immediate death. That's not something that people survive if you're in the medical field and see this video, especially if you're in ICU. I'm sure you are well aware of that. But the only reason that I survived that was because my husband was in the room with me and I was talking to him when it happened. So he was able to recognize it, that something was really wrong really quickly. And he said there was about 20 people in the room very quickly to save my life. And they had to drill into my skull to put a drain into my brain to drain that fluid off. And here I am. That's where I got my lovely neck butthole. So as far as like a near-death experience regarding the herniation, well, let me tell you how close I got. I went into respiratory arrest. I lost my gag reflex and I blew my pupils when I herniated. So I was like GCS of 3. In fact, I was put into the referral system for organ donation. The only reason that I know that is because my sister is a procurement nurse and works for Legacy of Hope in the same hospital that I was in, and she was locked out of their system because now I was in there as a patient for referral, where they were watching me for a few days to see if I was going to proceed to brain death and then organ donation. Luckily, I woke up after a couple of days. I was not brain dead. I was just in a coma for a few days. But what I was aware of before that happened was a severe headache. The headache had been ongoing for like a week or several days. I'm not really sure of the timeline, but severe headache. And so that's all I could think about was the pain, and they couldn't relieve my pain, and just nobody had any idea that I had developed hydrocephalus. So as far as when I quote unquote, nearly died, I have no memory of that. The last memory that I have is, like I said, just the pain. And then the next memories I have are several days later when I woke up from my coma. Again, there was no like light or nobody talked to me. I wasn't like hovering above my body watching everything or anything like that. I think people are generally disappointed when they hear that, but it may be worth noting that I am not religious. I deconstructed from that years ago. And so I don't have dreams of like a heaven or hell or anything about an afterlife. And my personal opinion is that your beliefs heavily influence that situation. And I'll tell you why I think that. Because say for example, you live in India and you are Hindu and you have a near-death experience. Are your visions or the things that you remember, do you think they line up more with like the Hindu fate? Or do you think someone in a completely different part of the world with a whole different belief system, like their near-death experience more aligns with Christianity, what Christianity would expect? Also, that's neither here nor there. That's just a theory that I have, that the quote-unquote near-death experiences are probably more aligned with what you already believe before that happens. And that's probably why, for me, it was lights out. There was no awareness or no anything. So this part of my story is meant for a specific group of people, and that specific group of people only. For some people, this might be very uncomfortable to hear, or you may think this is a very, awkward thing to get on social media and talk about, and that's fine. This video is not for you. The people that need this video hopefully will find it. So before I had my accident, I worked for over 10 years as a paramedic, and I have responded to countless fatalities from various things in my career. And sometimes I found myself wondering, out of just sheer curiosity, like I always wondered looking at some of these situations, I wonder if there was a moment that this person had before this accident, if they knew, and if they even felt anything. I guess it's morbid curiosity, but I just always wondered if there was even a fraction of a second that they felt pain or knew what was happening. And obviously I can't speak for all of the dead, but as far as my situation and the initial impact, I can tell you that I had no awareness of the impact. There was no pain. There was nothing. I was riding my motorcycle and then the light switch turned off. And that was it. I can say that for that situation, for my situation, if that had been the end of it, if I had died on the guardrail, I can say that it would have been peaceful. It was instant. There was no awareness. There was no pain. You were here 1 second and the next second you're not. Again, I realize this is a weird thing to talk about, but I know from past experience, from conversations I've had, that this can help some people. So that's why I'm talking about it. As far as the brain herniation, obviously, like I said in the first part, that all I could think about was the pain, the severe headache, and what happened from my husband's perspective was I was talking to him. He noticed my oxygen saturation trending down and my breathing started slowing down, and then I just quit breathing. So with that, it wasn't a 1 second you're here, 1 second you're not. It was more of a trend. However, all that I remember is the headache. I don't remember like fading away, and I don't remember anything but the pain. So I don't know if that helps anybody or not, but I wasn't aware that I was dying. I wasn't aware that I was about to go into respiratory arrest. There was no like struggle up until that point of herniation other than the headache that I had been dealing with for a while. So I hope that the people that needed to hear this heard this, and for the rest of you who think I've lost my marbles, you're probably right. But I think it's understandable after the craziness of all of that. I have no way to know how this video will do. It may get 2 views, it may get 2 million views. I have no idea. But I know that if this video reaches the people that it's meant for, that my comment section will be full of people sharing the stories of their loved ones. And just know, if I don't respond to your comment, I will read it at some point, and I'm very sorry if you have lost somebody. I wish I could take that pain from you, but I can't. The only comfort that I can give you is to share my experience and hope that that helps you in your grieving process in some way. But also, you know, please understand that I won't be able to respond to a lot of people just because those comments are really hard for me to read on videos like this. I tend to get a lot of religious people in my comment section, and although I know their intent is to comfort me somehow or make me feel good, it kind of has the opposite effect. It makes me feel unheard. It makes me feel guilty that I lived and all these other people didn't. I know this won't be, I know I can ask till I'm blue in the face, and I know what to expect, but just please take that into consideration before you leave a comment. I hope this helped you in some way. Hug your family, tell them how much you love them, and go out and enjoy whatever time we have left on this rock. Because if there's anybody that can attest to just this elated feeling to just be alive, it's me. And I am telling you, all of the little things you think are important are not. None of that stuff matters. All that matters is you make the most of the time that you have, and just don't waste your life worrying or doing things that just don't matter. Okay, bye.